So I have a spooky story for you, and this one takes us on a camping trip. Now, our story begins in the middle of the woods. Now, there's a young woman, Millie, short for Milagro, and then there's her boyfriend, Davis. Now, they're going through a bit of a rough patch. Millie appears to be a little bit paranoid because Davis here seems to be a little hyper attentive to his boss, Chelsea. Now, the trip goes off pretty evenly until Milagro, or Millie, starts hearing this weird humming sound. Now, nobody else appears to be able to hear this except her, which makes it even more eerie because there's only two people in the woods where they're camping at this time, and that's Davis and Millie. Now, as the night goes on, Millie is dealing with her insecurities about their relationship, and she is certain that Davis is cheating on her. But the couple manages to put their differences to the side. They enjoy some roasted marshmallows, they're enjoying a small chat, when all of a sudden, in the woods, they hear a rumbling through the bushes. Now keep in mind, there's only two of them at this campsite, so it's either an animal or something else. Now by this point, the couple is really nervous, so they stand up. And as they get ready to prepare for whatever it is that's about to come out of the bushes, they're shocked to find that it's a woman. Now, this is a beautiful woman, pretty red hair, and she appears to have gotten turned around on a hike. She attempted to go one route, but it was crowded, overgrown. She decided to take an alternate route. Now, by the time the woman rolls around, it's pretty dark outside. There's no light to be seen except for the stars and the moonlight. However, the woman, whose name is Lucy, happily tells the couple that she's going to make her way to her car, and Millie seems to be fine with that. But Davis seems to have a chivalrous heart, and he offers to escort Lucy to her vehicle. Now, Millie feels some kind of way about this because in order for him to take Lucy to her vehicle, that means he has to leave his girlfriend, Millie, out in the woods alone. And obviously, as a woman, that would break my heart and might break up my relationship because you're not leaving me alone in the woods. So Davis walks Lucy to her car, and Millie starts hearing this low but pervasive humming. She looks around and there's no one to be seen, but the humming starts to gradually get a little bit louder, and Millie is losing it at this point when all of a sudden Davis returns back from taking Lucy to the vehicle. Now, by this point, Millie has had enough. Davis has been occupied the entire evening with phone calls from work from his boss, Chelsea. Then he left Millie to go off with Lucy, and it's just been a terrible evening. And Millie has tried to contain it, but she hasn't done a good job. And eventually, her superstition gets the best of her, and she confronts Davis about his alleged infidelity. Now, Davis obviously rejects this idea. He's a faithful boyfriend, but something starts to happen with Millie. As she's going through this confrontation, she starts to have these random spasms. In fact, they seem to control her body, and she can't seem to shake it. The next thing we know, though, Davis ends up dead, and Millie ends up missing. Now, I should add that there's something really special about the area that the couple was hiking in. You see, this area was known for the presence of beautiful women, almost mystical in nature. These women were hardly ever seen, but the woods was said to be full of them. Now, if you're familiar with sirens, then what I'm about to tell you is going to sound very familiar. Now, Millie and Davis, again, were in this campground. This campground was located in an area of the woods that was said to be full of these beautiful, mysterious women. No one could ever catch them, but there were sightings of them periodically. Just nobody knew the mysterious origins. Now, much like a siren, these women were said to be insanely attractive. They had a melodic tune that seemed to draw people in, almost like a Venus flytrap, a sweet nectar of a song that seemed to attract men in particular. These creatures, or these women, were also said to have a very similar long, dark hair. Now, some reports say that the women either had blue skin or dark brown skin, but regardless, the reports say that the most important takeaway about these women was their beauty. Except for the fact that, unlike a siren, the women, mysterious as they were, had these legs that appeared to be facing backwards. And those who had the misfortune of witnessing them never could identify the direction the women were coming from, because their legs were facing backwards in the most gruesome way, but their torsos were facing front. So nobody could tell if they were walking forward, backward, side to side. Again, for those who had the misfortune of seeing these beings, they reported them being an eerie sight altogether. Now back to the story. Unfortunately, Davis lost his life in the campground that night, and Millie mysteriously disappeared, never to be seen or heard from again. In fact, the last eyewitness that had seen either Millie or Davis alive was Lucy. Now, if this interests you, then I recommend checking out the short Netflix film La Ciguapa Siempre. This short film, which runs for about 12 minutes, was written and produced by Monica Moore-Suriyage, an Afro-Latina director. And honestly, it's one of the best uses of time that I've made in a while. I consider this film a sweet treat. 12 minutes long, get straight to the point. To me, it is a bit more graphic than I anticipated. As someone who has a very high tolerance for ghost, but a relatively low tolerance for gore or graphic body movements, this one got me a little bit on edge. But you don't have to take my word for it. This film was so good, it qualified for an Academy Award. Now, one of the things that I also enjoyed about this film was the folklore of other cultures. I'm African American, so I'm pretty well versed in a lot of African American folklore and legends, but for other cultures, it's an entirely different frontier for me, so I always like learning about things. And I also wanted to give a shout out to a Spooky Tales. I had no idea what a Ciguapa was until I watched her video. I'm also going to link that below. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video or you want to see what happened to Millie and Davis, go ahead and check out this film. Again, 12 minutes long. Drop your thoughts in the comments if you have seen it, and I will see you guys in my next installment of Black Witch Month.